It started with a text from the bank. Unusual activity detected on your joint account. I was at the hardware store picking up a replacement filter for the furnace, something mundane. I stared at the alert, thinking maybe it was a mistake. Or maybe she just booked something fancy with her friends for their girls' trip. A spa treatment, maybe. They'd talked about that last week. I opened the banking app. First thing I saw was the balance, $724 the week before. It had been just over $12,000. The transaction log was a mess. Hotel charges, luxury car rental, designer boutiques, names I didn't recognize in cities I hadn't even known she was visiting. One charge for a 5-star resort, another for a private wine tour, all in someone else's world. I stood still for a long minute, phone cold in my hand. No anger yet, no panic, just a strange kind of stillness. She was supposed to be in Vermont. A cabin with friends? No guys, no phones, just yoga and wine, she'd said. I didn't argue. She'd been stressed, she said. Needed space. I believed her. Because why wouldn't I? I didn't call her. Didn't text. I just stood there in that fluorescent-lit aisle, looking at numbers that didn't add up and wondering how long she'd been planning this. I bought the filter anyway. At the checkout counter, I tapped my card and watched the reader. Blink, hesitate, then approve. The clerk bagged it like nothing was wrong. But something had shifted. Deep inside me, not rage, not fear, something colder, clearer, a knowing. She wasn't where she said she was. And she hadn't just dipped into the account for a little fun. She'd cleaned it out. And while she smiled for selfies somewhere far away, I stood there quiet and still, making a decision I didn't fully understand yet. But I knew one thing. Wasn't going to ask her about it. I was going to find out the truth on my own. We met when we were both 21, young, broke and hopeful. I was welding pipes for a construction outfit. She was waiting tables and studying part-time. We moved in together before either of us had real furniture, just a mattress on the floor, hand-me-down pans, and a second-hand coffee maker that hissed louder than it brewed. We built from there. She handled the little things, the everyday details, groceries, laundry, bills. She was organized, thoughtful, methodical. I was the worker, up early, home late, hands covered in grit and steel dust. It worked. I didn't mind the hours. I liked being able to provide. And she liked keeping our life in rhythm. Finances were never a point of tension. From the start, we agreed. Everything we earned was ours. One joint account, one future. I never questioned where the money went because I never had reason to. She updated me when we hit savings goals, reminded me when we needed to cut back. It all felt easy. Trusted. She was never flashy, never one of those women who needed to show off. She was practical, smart, or at least that's what I told myself. The longer we were together, the more I leaned into that rhythm. She took care of things at home, and I didn't have to think about much beyond work. I'd hand her my pay stubs every week. She'd smile and say, "We're doing good." And I believed her. We didn't fight. Not really. Sure, we had spats, like any couple. But no screaming, no threats. Just a long, steady quiet. That's what I thought marriage was. Comfort, simplicity, trust. She always told me, we'll use the savings for something big, our future. Maybe a better house? Maybe a real honeymoon one day. Maybe just to coast if times got hard. It never crossed my mind that she'd take it and run. Not her. Not the woman who stood by me when I had nothing. Not the woman who used to pack me lunch, with handwritten notes tucked in the bag. Not the one who knew my childhood by heart. And yet here I was, holding my phone like it might explain itself, like the numbers on that screen weren't hers. We'd never had secrets. Or maybe I just didn't know how good she was at keeping them. The morning after the bank alert, I brewed coffee like usual. Same kitchen, same counter. But everything felt unfamiliar. She'd texted me the night before. "Love you, having fun. Signal's bad, but I'll call when I can." That's what she said. But what I saw was nearly 12 grand drained in 4 days. I didn't reply. I just stared at that message, trying to decide what kind of lie it was. A selfish one? A careless one? Or something colder? She'd left 3 days ago. A girls' trip, she said. Her and 3 old college friends. No real itinerary, just somewhere quiet upstate. Maybe a cabin, maybe a spa, she wasn't sure. We just want to unplug, she smiled, tossing her duffel into the back seat. I didn't press. Why would I? She deserved a break. That morning, though, I opened Facebook, scrolled through her profile. Nothing new. Just a vague post from 2 days ago. Grateful for the reset. I checked her friend Lisa's page, one of the women she said she was with. That's when the first crack appeared. Lisa had posted a picture of her kids at a pumpkin patch, tagged in another state entirely. Weird. So I messaged her. Casual. Hey Lisa, hope the trip's going great. Just checking in, can you remind me where you guys are staying? I forgot the name. It took hours for her to respond. And when she did, it was just, hey, yeah, we're just hanging out near the lake. Super chill. Not sure where exactly. We're all kind of scattered right now, LOL. Scattered. It didn't make sense. That night I went deeper. Checked Instagram tags. Not hers, but hers by others. That's when I saw it. A photo taken at a rooftop bar in the city. Classy place. 2 cocktails, low lighting, skyline behind her. She wasn't alone. Next to her, partially turned away, was a man I didn't recognize. Dressed sharp. His arm casually draped across the back of her chair. No girlfriends, no cabin, no retreat. Just her and someone else. I zoomed in on her face. She looked relaxed, at ease, like she'd never left anything behind. And that's when it all settled. She hadn't forgotten the account. She hadn't lost track of spending. She just didn't care if I noticed anymore. I didn't message her, didn't blow up her phone. I just saved the photo. And for the first time in our marriage, I started keeping secrets too. I've always believed that trust isn't just emotional, it's practical. You trust someone with your time, your name, your future. And in a marriage, you trust them with access to your space, to your home, to your accounts. Turns out, when that access is misused, it doesn't just hurt, it unravels you. After seeing the photo of her with the other man, I spent the next few hours doing what I should have done days earlier, checking everything. Not just the joint checking account. I looked at the savings, credit cards, auto-pay setups, anything that had our names tied together. The checking account was empty. I already knew that. But I hadn't seen the line-by-line breakdown yet. What I saw now wasn't impulse spending. It was precision. Like she had a list. $4,200 at a resort. $800 at a boutique store. $100 for wellness services, flights, jewelry, meals, private car service. There were no round-trip tickets, just one way. She wasn't planning to come back soon. I clicked over to our savings account. That was where we kept our emergency fund. $9,000 set aside, untouched for years, 0 and 17. I felt that one in my chest. I switched tabs to the credit card. We had a modest limit, $5,000, always paid off. She handled that, or so I thought. Maxed out. Interest stacking. Charges I didn't recognize. High-end restaurants, hotel room service, a luxury spa package. It kept going. I opened my email and searched mortgage. There it was. Payment declined. I double-checked the payment source, our joint account. I hadn't changed it. She had access to that too. She'd drained the account before the auto draft hit. We were now officially behind on the house. It wasn't just betrayal anymore. It was damage. I opened my wallet, pulled out my debit card, and drove to the gas station. Pumped gas, walked in for a drink, tapped my card, declined. I tried again. Same result. The cashier smiled politely. You might want to call your bank. I nodded, stepped outside and sat in the truck. Let the silence hit me like a wave. It wasn't rage. It wasn't even heartbreak. It was something colder, like a frost spreading inward. I'd worked 18 years in the same trade, kept my credit clean, paid every bill on time, never missed a mortgage payment. We didn't live fancy, but we were stable, comfortable, safe. Now in a single week, she'd taken every ounce of that and set fire to it. No message, No apology, not even a warning. She left with everything, and still acted like she deserved more. Went home, sat at the kitchen table where we used to have coffee every Sunday, and wrote down 3 things. Freeze all remaining credit lines. Open a new account in my name only. Call a lawyer. I wasn't going to try to win her back. I wasn't even going to ask her why. This wasn't about emotion anymore. This was war. Fought. In silence with paperwork and preparation. And for once, I wasn't behind. The next morning, I woke up before the sun. Not out of anxiety, but purpose. I brewed coffee, sat in silence, and began making lists. Not emotional ones. Tactical ones. The first thing I did was open a new bank account entirely in my name. I moved over what little I had left from a separate side fund I'd never touched. It wasn't much, but it was mine. She couldn't reach it. Then I called my buddy Darren, a lawyer I'd known since trade school. I didn't tell him everything, just the necessary parts. Fraud, financial misconduct, marital separation. He didn't ask many questions, just said, "Come in Monday. Bring everything." That was enough. Before she left on her girls' trip, I'd installed a small security camera above the pantry. Not because I suspected anything like this, but because little things had started feeling off. Misplaced receipts, conversations that didn't line up, a gut instinct I didn't know how to name. Now, I pulled the footage, scanned through the night before she left. She thought I wasn't paying attention, but she was wrong. In the video, she stands in the kitchen after I'd gone to bed. She's on the phone, pacing, whispering. Then she opens my filing cabinet. Camera catches her pulling out papers, bank documents, account numbers. She takes pictures, slides them back, and zips her suitcase shut. That was the moment. Not when she drained the account. Not when I found the photo. It was right there, her in my home, in the quiet, treating my trust like something disposable. I didn't pause the footage, didn't curse, didn't yell, I just saved the file. Labeled it clearly. Evidence U1. She thought she'd caught me sleeping. She had no idea I'd already woken up. I didn't need a private investigator. I had her social media, our shared devices, and the quiet patience she underestimated. First, I checked her email, not by hacking, but because she'd never logged out of the shared iPad. One click and I was inside her inbox. Most of it was junk, shopping receipts, yoga newsletters, friend group threads. But buried in the promotions tab was a reservation confirmation. Not for Vermont, not for a spa retreat. It was for a luxury suite at a resort 3 states away. Under the guests section, it listed her name and his. First and last. A name I recognized vaguely. A man she used to work with, someone I'd met once in passing at her office holiday party. He shook my hand like he couldn't meet my eyes. Now I knew why. I reverse image searched the rooftop photo I'd found earlier. It wasn't taken at some casual bar. It was a members-only club, the kind you don't even get into without connections. Or money. My money. She'd posted nothing else publicly, but others had. I found her tagged in 2 more pictures. One showed them at a wine tasting. The other by a pool, holding hands in the background. She looked happy, carefree, like none of it mattered. I documented everything. Screenshots, timestamps, location data. I sorted it into folders, financial, photographic, legal. She had no idea what I'd seen. No clue what I now held. This wasn't about catching her anymore. It was about being ready for what came next. And when it did, she wouldn't get a scene. She'd get silence and consequences. I didn't storm into a lawyer's office demanding vengeance. I walked in with a folder and a calm expression. Darren looked through everything, screenshots, financial records, video footage, timestamps. He didn't speak for a while, just flipped page by page like he was reading a case study. Finally, he closed the file and said, "You've got more than enough." We filed a formal fraud report with the bank. Then a theft affidavit, citing unauthorized account access and misappropriation of marital funds. Because while we were still legally married, that money was earmarked, jointly held. She wasn't allowed to drain it without consent, especially not to finance a private affair. Darren also. Looped in a forensic accountant to trace larger transfers and asset movement. Turns out, she'd quietly moved part of my inheritance left by my grandfather into an investment account under her name. That alone carried legal weight. I froze all joint accounts, flagged my credit, redirected all mail, informed the mortgage lender of the situation, and paused payments through legal mediation. One by one, I shut every open door. Still, I never messaged her, never said a word. I knew her. She'd think everything was normal until the very moment it wasn't. The moment the card declined, the account locked, the lawyer letter arrived. This wasn't revenge. It was protection, a quiet shield built from evidence, patience, and the discipline she'd mistaken for weakness. And when it all landed, she wouldn't even see it coming. It started with a text. "Hey, my card's not working. Can you check?" I didn't reply. An hour later, another one came through. I'm at the spa and they're saying payment was declined. Still, I said nothing. By afternoon, the messages shifted tone, less casual, more frantic. "The resort says the room is unpaid. What's going on?" They locked me out of the suite. "I need you to call me, please." She didn't know the accounts had been frozen, that the lawyer had already contacted the hotel chain, submitted documentation, flagged every charge tied to my name. By nightfall, she'd stopped texting. I imagined her sitting outside that luxury resort, luggage beside her, phone in hand, watching her lover disappear into a cab without saying goodbye. Because when the money dried up, so did he. I sat at home in the silence she left behind, reading every word she sent without emotion, just watching it all come apart. No outbursts, no confrontation, just natural consequence, set in motion the moment she chose to turn our future into a bank statement. She came home the next day, tired, unkempt, makeup worn, and still clinging to the idea that maybe somehow she could explain it away. I didn't greet her, didn't ask how the trip was. I just stood in the doorway blocking her path and said, "There's nothing left for you here." Because by the time she returned, the damage was already done. Not just to the accounts, to the marriage, the trust, the story we'd built. And now, the collapse was hers to carry. Alone. She sat across from me at the kitchen table, the same spot where we used to plan vacations and grocery lists. Her hands shook. Her voice cracked. "I can explain. I didn't raise mine, didn't shout. I just opened the folder. Inside, timestamps, transaction logs, screenshots, photos of her with him at the resort, credit transfers, withdrawal records, the camera footage. Slid it across to her. "I knew before you left," I said. She went quiet. Eyes flicked across each page, then stopped trying to deny it. Tears came next. Apologies. A dozen little justifications wrapped in shaking breath. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. I was lost. We weren't connecting. I didn't mean to. I held up a hand. "This isn't about meaning, it's about choice." She looked away. "Couldn't meet my eyes anymore. I never hurt you," I said. "I never lied. You did both, repeatedly." Her shoulders slumped, like the truth had weight. "Is it over?" she whispered. I didn't answer right away. Then I stood, gathered the folder, and said the only thing that mattered. "It ended the moment you spent our future on someone else." I walked out of the room. No slamming doors, no final argument. She was left there, alone with her guilt. I didn't need to scream to be heard. Sometimes the quietest words cut the deepest. I didn't ruin her life. She did that herself. All I did was make sure the truth caught up to her. There were no court battles, no dramatic endings, just a quiet settlement and silence where love used to live. I kept the house, sold the car, and started over with what was left, financially and emotionally. I've learned that betrayal doesn't always come with screaming or slammed doors. Sometimes it arrives in polite texts and vacation receipts. These days I sleep better. I cook for one, I walk more. I laugh without waiting for someone else to approve it. She once told me, "We'll never keep secrets." I believed her, But secrets weren't what broke us, it was what she did in the open, thinking I wasn't watching. Now, I live simply, not bitter, just clearer. And if peace has a price, turns out it was everything she took and couldn't keep.